Right now, underneath your car, there are places holding moisture you don't know about. They've been holding it for months, and every single day, that moisture is doing damage you won't see until it's too late to stop it cheaply. That's not a scare tactic. That's just how rust works. And it's the reason most people lose this fight. Not because they didn't try, but because by the time they noticed it, the damage was already done. You've probably tried the sprays, maybe the undercoating, maybe you've spent real money at a shop hoping something would stick, and maybe it helped for a little while. But it never really stopped it, did it? Here's what those products won't tell you on the label. Rust doesn't start on the surface. It starts deep inside your car, in the hidden cavities, the sealed seams, the enclosed pockets underneath your doors and along your sills. Places no spray ever reaches. Places that trap water and hold it against bare metal for weeks at a time. Once you understand that, you understand why the entire approach most people take to rust prevention is aimed at the wrong place entirely. Now here's where it gets interesting. In Japan, in places like Hokkaido, where the winters are brutal, and along the coast of Kanagawa, where salt air is just a fact of life, car owners have been dealing with this exact problem for generations, and they solved it. Not with expensive products, not with treatments, with habits. Simple, repeatable habits that attack the root cause instead of the symptom. You'll find cars in those regions that are 20, 25 years old, and the undercarriage looks almost factory fresh. Same salt, same snow, same roads. The only difference is what those owners do, and more importantly, when they do it. I'm going to walk you through the entire system today, every habit in the right order. And I'm going to save the most important one for last because it's the one that goes completely against what most car owners believe, and it's the one that makes the biggest difference over time. Stay with me through the whole thing. The habits only work together. Miss one, and you're leaving the door open. Before anything else, you need to understand why your car is losing this battle right now. Even if you can't see any rust yet, water gets into your car in more places than you think. It gets into the door cavity, through the window seal, through the gap around the mirror, through the hinges. It gets into your rocker panels, through road spray from the tires. It gets into the trunk floor, through the seal around the rear lights. This isn't a defect. Engineers designed it this way because they also built in an exit. Every car has drain holes punched into the bottom of these cavities, small slots designed to let water drain back out before it has time to cause damage. That system works perfectly when the drain holes are open, but within a few years on most cars, those holes are clogged. Road debris, dried mud, old wax that ran down during a wash and hardened right over the opening. Once they're blocked, every bit of water that enters that cavity has nowhere to go. It just sits. It heats up in summer and forces itself deeper into the seams. It freezes in winter and expands against the metal, and then it thaws, and the whole cycle starts again. By the time rust bubbles through your paint, that process has been running for 6 months, sometimes a year or more, completely hidden from you. That's the enemy. Trapped moisture in sealed spaces. Everything in the Japanese system is designed to deal with exactly that. The first habit is the one that costs nothing and takes 20 minutes twice a year. Go to every door on your car and look at the very bottom edge. You'll see small slots or holes punched into the metal. That's where the water is supposed to drain out. Take a thin wire, a straightened coat hanger is perfect, or even a wooden toothpick, and clear every single one. Work it through until you feel it break through the debris on the other side. Do every door, both sides, front and back, then do the rocker panels along the sill, then the drain points in the trunk floor. Once they're all clear, take a garden hose and put your thumb over the end to build up pressure. Now flush water through the top of the door cavity, through the window opening or down through the gap at the top of the door frame. You are literally washing the inside of your door. Watch what comes out of those drain holes at the bottom. The first time most people do this on a car that's a few years old, they can't believe what they're seeing. Brown water, black sediment, grit that's been sitting in there collecting moisture every single time it rained. All of it draining out instead of staying pressed against the metal. Let everything drain completely. If it's a sunny day, leave the doors open for an hour. Do this every spring and every autumn. That's it. That's the habit. It sounds almost insultingly simple for something this effective. But it works because it removes the standing water at the source before rust ever has a chance to form. The second habit is for anyone who drives on salted roads or near the coast. And if that's you, this one is non-negotiable. Road salt doesn't just make your car wet. It chemically accelerates rust in a way that plain water never could. It lowers the freezing point of moisture, which means it stays active and aggressive even in cold temperatures where regular water would freeze and pause its attack. Salt keeps the corrosion running around the clock in conditions where you'd think the car was safe. And here's the detail that catches most people off guard. The damage from road salt doesn't happen while you're driving. When the car is moving, airflow keeps the water in motion and limits how long it sits in one place. The real damage happens the moment you park, especially in a warm garage. That salty water settles into every seam, every crevice, every folded edge of metal. And then it just sits there all night doing its worst work while your car is perfectly still. Japanese drivers in snowy regions have one firm rule around this. If the car has been on salted roads, it gets rinsed before it stops for the night. Not the next morning, not on the weekend, before it parks. You don't need soap, you don't need a pressure washer, though one makes it easier. A garden hose with decent pressure is enough. Focus on the areas where salt hides and packs itself in. The wheel arches, behind both bumpers, under the sills, the floor pan, the suspension and subframe components. 2 to 3 minutes per wheel arch, 5 minutes across the underside. 12 minutes total, maybe less. Every time. After every drive on treated roads. That consistency is exactly what separates a car that looks clean underneath at 10 years old from one that needs thousands spent on structural repairs before it'll pass inspection. Now here's the habit I mentioned at the start. The counterintuitive one. The one that will genuinely surprise you. Most car owners believe that parking in a closed garage protects their car from rust. And in some ways it does, and you're keeping rain off it, keeping it out of wind and direct weather. But a tightly closed garage can actually make rust worse. And the reason why is something almost nobody talks about. When you come home after driving in wet or winter conditions, your undercarriage and wheel arches are wet. You pull into a warm garage. The temperature inside rises, and all that moisture starts evaporating off the car. But in a closed garage, it has nowhere to go. The humidity builds up inside that space. And then when the temperature drops again overnight, that moisture condenses back down onto every cold metal surface on the car. Your closed garage has become a machine that mists your car with water every single night, right along the sills, the floor pan, the door bottoms, the exact places rust is already trying to take hold. Mechanics and car owners in the northern parts of Japan deal with this in 2 ways. The first is airflow. When you park a wet car, always leave a gap. Crack the garage door a foot, open a side window. Even the smallest amount of airflow is enough to carry that humidity out instead of letting it settle back onto the car. The second is a quick dry down before you park. 5 minutes with a rag on the spots that collect and hold moisture. The door jambs, where the rubber seal presses against the body, the bottom edges of the doors, the area around the fuel filler cap, the trunk seal and its surrounding channel. These are the places water pools and refuses to leave on its own. 30 seconds with a dry cloth on each one removes hours of exposure. 5 minutes before you lock up. That's all it takes. But done every time over years, it removes an enormous amount of time that moisture would otherwise spend sitting against vulnerable metal. The last habit is the one that catches everything the others might miss. Once a year, spring is the best time right after winter ends. Get underneath your car with a good torch. You can use ramps, a jack and axle stands, or take it to any shop with a lift and ask for 5 minutes to look underneath. Most places won't charge you for that. You are not looking for rust. You are looking for the conditions that are about to create rust. Debris packed into a cavity, a section of undercoating that is chipped away and left bare metal exposed, a seam that looks like it's holding dirt and moisture, a drain hole that's already blocked again since you last cleared it. When you find bare metal, and over time you will, brush the area clean, make sure it is completely dry, and coat it with a basic brush-on chassis paint. A few dollars at any parts store. You are not restoring anything. You are just closing the gap before rust finds it. This inspection, done once a year, is what keeps the entire system honest. It catches the things that slipped through and fixes them when they're still easy and cheap to deal with, instead of waiting until they're not. Clear the drain holes twice a year. Rinse the salt off before you park. Let your garage breathe when the car is wet. Dry the moisture traps before you lock up. Look underneath every spring. That is the complete system. Nothing to buy, nothing to apply. Just 5 habits done consistently. The same habits that have kept cars running clean and solid in some of the harshest conditions in the world. The cars that make it to 20 years without serious rust aren't lucky. They're looked after, and now you know exactly how. If this video changed the way you think about your car, hit the like button right now. It costs you nothing and it helps this reach someone else before rust gets the jump on them. Subscribe for more of this straightforward mechanical knowledge that actually saves you money. And leave a comment telling me where you live and how old your car is. I want to know what you're dealing with. I read every one. Go check those drain holes today. You'll be glad you did.